Good morning, YouTube. Bagster78 here, as promised. Got you some videos on the way. Was planning on doing some motovlogging yesterday, but the weatherman said it was going to be a nasty rainy day all day, and pretty much only rained a little bit in the morning. By the time I got to the classes I'm having to take, the rain had pretty much stopped, and didn't start back up again until a couple hours after I got home. What I'm gonna attempt to do is break this ride up in maybe a couple different chapters, just because it's going to take a while to get there. It's almost about an hour to get there, so I'll do some editing and probably break this up. So something I'm wanting to talk to y'all about today is the current state of Hollywood, I guess we could say. I'm a pretty big movie buff. I grew up going to the movies a lot with my parents. It was pretty much almost every weekend we went when I was a kid. I figured it up one time. I want to say it was 1985. We saw like 45 movies that year in the movie theaters alone. That's kind of where it works out, oddly enough. 85 being the year that I kind of figured it up was the year we went to the movies the most. And it kind of leads into what I want to talk about. I don't know about y'all, but especially those of you around my age, the mid to late 30s and up crowd, kind of at the point where I'm getting tired of seeing all these remakes being made, especially when they more times than not, more often than not, they're ruining a good movie. One of my favorite genres when I was a kid was horror. And of course, being a child of the 80s, growing up in the 80s, my three favorite horror franchises were Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Halloween. And I know everybody's got their own taste and their own opinions, and I respect that. I got no problem with it. But me personally, I think they have pretty much ruined all three of those franchises with the reboots. And with the exception of Rob Zombie's Halloween, none of them have made any real kind of money. And I'm not even sure how true that is about Rob Zombie's Halloween. You know, like I said, I'm a pretty big movie buff. And personally, what I would like to see, I'd like to see more original movies instead of remake after remake after remake. Just about every time I watch one, I am greatly disappointed. And I'm just kind of curious. I bring this up because I'm kind of curious as to what y'all's thoughts are on the subject. And I know I'm not the only one out there that feels this way. I've been hearing it more and more from friends of mine and online on Facebook with some of the groups I follow, especially in the horror movie community and the sci-fi community. Which brings me to my other movie franchise that I thoroughly enjoyed as a kid growing up was Star Trek. Star Trek is actually probably my all-time favorite movie franchise, and television franchise. I watched the first reboot that JJ did, and honestly, I couldn't stand it. I don't like what they've done with the characters. I don't like the whole portrayal of Kirk as being a spoiled, whiny little brat that was handed a starship because his father did something great once. And I tried watching the second movie, which I did watch the second movie, which was really hard because my favorite episode of the original series of Star Trek is the episode in which they introduced the character Khan. And I really had a problem with the direction they went in that. As far as this new one coming out, I do not and will not watch it for the simple fact of some of the things that have come out from Simon Pegg talking about making it less Star Trek-y and telling the more old school Star Trek fans, I guess the best way I can put it, to F off. Or F you, or whatever it was he said, but it was, the F word was in there, and he was basically telling Star Trek fans that didn't like the new Star Trek where to go. Well, as I promised, I've been recording for about 8 minutes. I'm going to try to keep these in about 10-minute increments or less. So I'm going to go ahead and finish it off with that, and I'd like to get some of your guys' opinions on what you think about all the remakes that Hollywood's coming out with, Ghostbusters and all that. And it looks like it's starting to bleed over into television. And I know they've done remakes, they've always done remakes, but it just seems like the frequency of remakes here lately has gotten ridiculous. So let me know, give me an idea what you think, comments, all that. Like I said, I got no problem with people who disagree. I know everybody, like I said, everybody's got their own opinions and tastes, but I just thought it'd be interesting to get a broader take on what everybody thinks. And until the next video, talk to you later.